If there's one mistake I see over and over and over again, is that people tend to think retirement is defined by one singular number, whether that's 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, you name it. But the truth is, retirement isn't about net worth. It's about cash flow, because cash flow funds your life. Now, it's not your fault. Every headline we see obsesses over this number. We see headlines that say you need 1 million, 1.5, or $2 million to retire. We end up internalizing this message and thinking that if we don't hit one of these numbers, we're not ready. And then we have the 4% rule, which is one of the most misunderstood rules in personal finance, and it gets applied too broadly and way too simplistically. The 4% withdrawal rate was designed for the absolute worst case scenario in history. The gentleman who created it, Bill Bengen, even says that he uses much more aggressive withdrawal rates, and it depends on the situation, but sometimes it's 5, 5.5%, 7, 8, even 9% in some cases. So here's the moral of the story. Don't take those headlines as gospel. Retirement is way more nuanced than that. And another thing we also forget is that most retirees don't simply rely on their investments. Many retirees have other sources of income, namely Social Security, perhaps a pension, maybe real estate income, or maybe part-time work. It all adds up. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median retirement income is just over $50,000, and many retirees are doing just fine, not because they have massive portfolios, but because they've built reliable income streams. We've been trained to think in totals, but you don't need to spend your net worth. You spend your income, and your net worth is a tool that brings in an income, and your income depends entirely on your lifestyle. Do you have a fully paid off home and you want to stay local and spend time with your grandkids? Or do you want to travel extensively and give lavishly? These are two very different lifestyles, and they come with very different price tags. Neither is right or wrong, but it depends on what you want. Retirement success isn't about hitting some magic number. It's about making the numbers work for you, and that really comes down to 3 things. Number 1 is your monthly income. This is your foundation, and a steady cash flow that covers your basic needs is life-changing. Here's generally where those income sources come from. First off, Social Security. As of 2025, the average Social Security benefit is $2,000 a month. But of course, your benefit is going to depend on when you claim as well as your work history. But for many, Social Security is a significant portion of their retirement income. Next up, pensions or annuities. If you're lucky enough to have a pension, this is a guaranteed stream of income in retirement. Also, for many who have an annuity, this provides a stable sense of security. Knowing this exact amount is coming every single month or every single year can bring this overall sense of calm to your retirement planning. Rental income or part-time work. Whether it's a part-time gig, consulting, or a rental property that brings in even a modest income, this can have a measurable impact on your retirement. If you can generate just $1,000 a month in retirement from something flexible and reliable, that's $12,000 a year. With a 5% withdrawal rate, that's the equivalent of needing $240,000 less in your investment portfolio. In other words, even small monthly income streams can drastically reduce the pressure on your investments and help to guarantee that your portfolio will last for the long haul. The goal is to build up stable and reliable income streams that show up rain or shine. Number 2 is monthly expenses. This is where lifestyle meets reality, and here you want to get crystal clear on where your money is going, and it's typically going to fall into 3 categories. Number 1, fixed expenses. This might include housing, utilities, insurance, groceries. These expenses don't change month to month that much. Next up, variable expenses. This would be things like travel, dining out, gifts, and hobbies. These are fun and essential to life, but often the first place you trim if you need to cut back in your budget. And finally, medical costs. For many retirees, healthcare expenses start off small, but they grow over time. Healthcare inflation is absolutely a real thing and something you want to plan for in your retirement plan. And importantly, remember that understanding your expenses is not about restriction. It's about having clarity to give yourself the confidence to spend what you need to and what you want to. And finally, we then come to your withdrawal strategy. This is where it all comes together, and honestly, where many plans fall apart. One approach is a dynamic strategy like guardrails, which adjust your spending based on market conditions. For example, if the market's down, you would temporarily scale back your withdrawal and withdraw less during this time. And if the market is up and performing well, you would give yourself permission to withdraw more and spend more. Compare that to a flat 4% withdrawal every single year, no matter what is happening in the world. It's very simple, but it's not always the best approach. If you're willing to be flexible with your strategy, this makes your plan more adaptable and more resilient, and honestly more responsive to real-world conditions rather than adapting to a theoretical spreadsheet. 86% of retirees say they're generally happy in retirement, even though most aren't millionaires. That is a really powerful reminder that happiness doesn't hinge on having a 7-figure portfolio. And there is nuance to this because nearly just as many retirees report feeling financially comfortable in retirement. And again, this serves as a great reminder. And yes, many retirees do say that they have financial worries. And these worries tend to revolve around healthcare costs, market volatility, or the fear of outliving their money. Happiness and finances might be loosely tied, and they can create a gap against each other, but understanding where this gap is and what you need to do to fill it can bring you a greater peace of mind. But just know that money itself does not guarantee happiness. So how much does the typical retiree have saved? Here are the median retirement savings by age. Ages 55 to 64, $185,000 in investable assets. Ages 65 to 74, about $200,000 in investable assets. And ages 75 and older, about $130,000 in investable assets. These are by no means millionaire level numbers, but they reflect a reality for the vast majority of Americans. The vast majority of Americans do not have 7-figure portfolios to rely on in retirement. Instead, they budget, they lean into Social Security, maybe they have a pension or part-time income, and they adjust their lifestyle. If nothing else, this should be reassuring. You do not need to hit some arbitrary net worth to have happiness in retirement. What you need is a plan that allows you to live the lifestyle you want and the income that supports the lifestyle you're aiming for. Now let's do a real life example. We'll take 2 retirees and we'll say they've each saved diligently and built up a $1.2 million portfolio. On paper, their net worths look identical, but once they get to retirement, their experiences are quite different. Let's say we have retiree A. They're retiring early at 58 with no pension. To fund their $60,000 a year lifestyle, they'll rely entirely on their investments at first. At 62, they'll begin collecting $20,000 a year in Social Security, reducing the pressure on their portfolio to just $40,000 a year. Here's how that plays out. In years 1 through 4, they're taking $60,000 or $240,000 total from their portfolio. This is a bridge strategy. So they set aside this $240,000 in cash or short-term assets. The remaining portfolio, $800,000, is invested for longer-term growth. Post age 62, they only need to draw $40,000 a year from their investments. Using a clean 5% withdrawal rate, this tells us we really only need $800,000 in investments. Here's why this works. When they start, yes, they're heavily withdrawing from their portfolio, but it's only temporary, only for a set number of years. They have this money set aside. This is a bridge strategy. They can withdraw this from short-term investments, then they have the remainder of their portfolio in more mid or long-term investments, encouraging it to grow and maintain purchasing power and ensure the longevity of the portfolio. Once they stop their aggressive withdrawals, we greatly reduce the pressure on the savings. And this approach is a great way to balance their short-term needs as well as their long-term needs. Retiree B has the same $1.2 million saved, but they have $3,000 as an income stream from Social Security and a pension. That's $36,000 a year in stable income. This household only needs $24,000 a year from their investments, just a 2% withdrawal rate. They too are comfortable using a 5% withdrawal rate. So this tells us that they truly would have only needed $480,000 invested to cover this $24,000 gap in their expenses. In this case, they've saved more than double what they truly need to fund their lifestyle. So is this $1.2 million relevant? Well, it is, but it's relevant with context. If your portfolio is your only income source, your $1.2 million portfolio needs to do a lot of heavy lifting and it has to work hard. But if you have alternative income streams, whether that is Social Security, an annuity, a pension, you name it, this takes a lot of pressure off your investment portfolio, and really your investment portfolio becomes a backup plan, not a lifeline. And here's the deeper truth. The lifestyle you want to live is the most important factor. If you've saved well above and beyond what you need to fund that lifestyle, truth is you have a surplus. And yes, a cushion can bring a tremendous amount of peace of mind, but it's also worth asking the question, how many of your life hours did you trade to build that surplus? The goal isn't to save, but to live intentionally, to align your working years with your retirement years to fully live the life you want. With these portfolios that we showed, we have the same net worth, but two totally different retirement outcomes. In one, the full portfolio is really a lifeline. In the other, it's a backup plan. And this really speaks to why cash flow, not just a big net worth number, is the driver of success in retirement. It's time to move away from the question that everyone asks. Instead of asking, what's your number? Start asking, what's your monthly cash flow? How stable are your income sources? How flexible is your spending if the markets dip? How much risk is your portfolio carrying to meet your needs? Because here's the truth. You could have $2 million invested and you could still feel anxious because it's all riding on what happens in the market. Alternatively, you could have a $600,000 portfolio and feel completely at peace because you have a really solid income floor and guaranteed income streams and a right-sized lifestyle that allows you to have a lot of margin in your budget. What determines your success in retirement isn't just the overall size of your net worth. It's how predictable your income streams are, how stable your withdrawals are, and how much this aligns with the life you want to live. Your retirement plan isn't just about what you've built. It's about how long it lasts and how it feels to live it. So if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Retirement isn't about hitting a specific number. It's about hitting an income that allows you to live the life you want with freedom, flexibility, and comfort. At the end of the day, it is not your net worth that funds your lifestyle, it is your cash flows. So if you've made it this far, I hope this didn't just give you information, but it also gives you confidence. Yes, retirement takes planning, but it's absolutely doable. Whether you're catching up, testing your plan, or rethinking what retirement really means, you can do this. Start where you are, know your gap, build up your income streams, plan for curveballs, and know that retirement isn't about hitting someone else's magic number. Retirement isn't about perfection, it's about preparation. So let me know your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye.